This podcast contains paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, where I discuss how you can grow your business by the bootstraps. This applies to all entrepreneurs, from the person just starting up to the one that is already well established. My goal is to help you grow. I am your host, Isaiah O'Connor.
Welcome back to the Atheoz Business Optimization Podcast. Today is going to be a co-podcast with Isaiah O'Connor, who runs the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, and he's going to throw some questions at me, which I'm going to try my best to answer. So Isaiah, if you guys are familiar, he actually is a podcaster and also a contributor on Atheoz.com, our business consulting / marketing site. Isaiah, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. Just chilling out here in Norway.
Is it chilling? Is it warm, or is it starting to get cold?
Actually, it's getting really warm today. I was sweating like a dog when I dropped off some balloons today.
Yeah?
For those of you that don't know, I also do balloon decor as a business. Not that there's been much of that lately, but, it's coming back.
He's in the entertainment business.
Yeah. It'd be
event entertainment business.
Yes. So, Jason, my turn to ask questions today.
Sure.
So, first of all,
yes.
Where did you get the idea to start up Atheoz?
So, I've actually owned a few businesses before Atheoz.com, and I wanted to go. What I really enjoyed when I started those other businesses is the marketing and really honing in like the business plan and how to bring in customers. Because on the customer service side, I had no problem with that. I have years of that, and I know how to service customers. I know how to take care of them, and I know how to be right. Basically how to keep them and retain customers.
Yeah.
So through the other businesses I owned, I actually really honed in how to market and how to successfully market. And the way I did, I actually went to school. So I have my, my university degrees. I have a couple of different ones, but none of them were in marketing directly. So actually, my marketing experience comes from, I guess, real world. Where I've actually spent, unfortunately and fortunately, hundreds of thousands of my own business dollars on what works and what doesn't work, and when to market and when not to market. So it's a lot of it comes from actual experience and spending actual money and feeling the actual bumps and bruises along the way. Now, besides that,
let me interject on that.
Yeah.
On that marketing thing. In the way things are changing so quickly with marketing, I think that might be almost an advantage. For example, I've struggled with my own trial and error marketing, black and blue, bruises all over the place from trying. And I got a couple of marketing books, like Guerrilla Marketing. Great book, but a lot of the stuff is very outdated. TV commercials, yeah, you can buy one if you're, Coke, Pepsi, some major corporation. But other than that, not worth the money for not enough people watch TV anymore.
Yeah.
So, some of the older marketing know-how is kind of outdated as we go. Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. What the principles, however, of creating an effective marketing campaign remains the same. So, and what I mean by that is how the commercial is actually structured, right? And is it telling a good story? Is it reaching out to your customer? Is it telling them, letting them know what you have, letting them know that they need it, and explaining to them that you're the place to go and get that? No, that is you would think, I'll just make one commercial. But in fact, nowadays with social media and everything, that's actually a never-ending process. As you and I know with, just this podcast, you have to keep on putting content out and letting people know that you actually know what you're talking about. And it builds trust with your audience and your customers too by doing that. So.
Yeah. And let's not forget, not just that you can solve their problem and what you do solves it, but set yourself apart. Why you? Why should they use your service versus the other services?
That's
Just
right.
standing out.
Yeah. Yep. Correct. So that's what I do.
So you really.
Oh, go ahead.
So you really like marketing. So how did that lead you to decide to start up Atheoz?
Oh.
And then reach out to me.
So
to kind of be your co-founder.
So I actually. I just enjoy it so much. I figured that I would be able to offer my experience as a service to people who needed it. How to build up a business from the ground up, for one, and how to market it and be successful at it and bring customers in. So my experience as a actual, I guess, bootstrapper, right? On one of them, I got a lot of funding to do. I'm not gonna lie there, but on both sides of it, so. Having that experience and being able to offer it as a service, and I've had success at it, and it's been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy helping small businesses, whether they're even starting up and from the ground up, or if they're existing, helping them bring in customers. It's very, very gratifying, because I know that as a small business, it not only involves just the individual, but their families and the employees and everybody involved. It's not so much as the corporation, that's benefiting from it, but the actual families and that. And it's I know it sounds cheesy, but it's really gratifying to help people out a lot. Find their own way and separate from, I guess, the machine. And there's nothing wrong with working with corporations. I'm just saying that if they want to start their own business, I could offer that service to them.
Yeah, I hear you, which is why I think we work together so well, because that's the biggest thing for me. I like to see people succeed.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to help their families out. If you ever listen to all my podcasts, I'm constantly talking about how small businesses are so important, because it feeds their family, it feeds your family if you're a small businessman. And hopefully, as you grow, you can feed other people's families as well.
Yeah.
So it's about helping people and helping everyone.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the whole idea. You build up people who build up other people who build up other people, and that's how you fix the problems on the planet today. It's taking care of you and your family, and then helping out a few other people so that they can help out a few other people, so they can help out a few other people.
Yep.
I think that's the most important.
Yeah, so that's why I decided to go this route. I mean, I really enjoy it, and I have fun doing it. And lately, it's almost becoming to where I'm actually I do podcasts so much that actually kind of becoming a semi-podcaster. But that's on another thing. So another yeah.
So what led you to reach out to me?
Well, because I knew that you were you've experienced grinding in sales and building your own business and going out there and actually bootstrapping your own business. So that's why I reached out to you, because I know that you've experienced a lot of the similar experience that I had, and I know that you'd know how to express that verbally. You know what I mean? Over a podcast platform, which is why I offered it out to you. I said, hey, I have this platform. Do you want to, that's why I did it, because I know that you were able to. And I know that both of us have had bumps in the roads with building our podcast. However, I think we're really catching our stride now. So I think that's great. It was a learning experience, but I think we're getting a lot better at it.
Well, everything is a learning experience, which is really great.
Yeah.
Because one of the first podcasts I did and blogs I wrote, and by the way, we co-write the Atheoz blog,
yes,
the business blog.
That's correct. Yep.
If you go over to the website, you can take a look at our thing.
Yeah.
But one of the very first things I talked about required secondary powers. If you've listened to my podcast, I'm a complete Marvel fan. I'm a complete nerd. But I talk about how whatever business thing you want to do, you need a lot of extra things to kind of get you through the business. You can't just have one great idea. Okay, I've invented the newest, best wheel, the best mousetrap on the planet. But if you don't have determination, if you don't have a love of learning, etc., you won't make it, because you always have to be learning. I have a whole podcast about a teachable spirit, to always be learning and be willing to learn from whatever happens, whatever hits.
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing. Now, I want to talk about where we first met and what kind of.
Yeah, we met way back. Actually,
what was it, 200-300 years ago now?
Honestly, you don't remember this, but we actually met back in elementary school. That's when we first met. But besides that, we actually met professionally while we both got jobs right out of high school working at the casino and the arcade.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then from there, that's
right.
I
was working in a different department at first, and then I moved down.
That's right. What department were you in?
I was in the transportation department.
I was
dispatching the buses, and I can't even remember what else I did. Gave out coupons, dispatched buses, called buses in for people, that sort of thing.
How'd you get into that position? Just apply for it?
It's been so long ago, I don't quite remember.
Yeah.
I think I saw it up somewhere. I was just turned 18. I needed a summer job, an actual real job, as my parents would push me. I had been working at the ski resorts, Sierra Tahoe, ever since I was 14, so always was working. But when I turned 18, after a couple of months, my dad's like, "What are you going to do with your life?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm fishing right now."
Yeah.
It's like, get a job. So I looked around and I found the job. And the manager of the department was a guy that I've known for pretty much my entire life. So that did help.
Was that Scott?
So got the job there. Rich Nicola.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So
yeah, you transferred down. That's where we met, and then kind of the same like sense of humor. So that's where we met, and kind of from there, kind of like maintained the relationship throughout. And like I explained, that's the way it is in the casinos.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we both kind of learned our customer service skills. I mean, we always had them, I think, intuitively to a degree. But I think we really honed our customer service chops there and our leadership chops, because we both got promoted up into leadership. And if I remember correctly, at the last time I worked there, we were the two highest paid people there.
Yeah, we were.
Outside of our direct report boss.
Yeah. So what working at a high volume place is like a really, really high volume? I'm talking about like I if I was gonna guess, we could sometimes have up to 1,000 customers that we could, if it's a hot night, that we'd serve. So it's nothing like, I know you have a busy restaurant or you have a busy this and that, but we're talking about, this was like on fire. That's how busy this.
Thanksgiving weekend after Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day right after Thanksgiving.
So your task, obviously, being that you're out of high school, it's a menial one for pretty much, but you better learn how to get your customer service on point, be helpful, and get the customer in and out as fast as possible. So not only are you selling, but you're also being, you're listening to what they want, and you're and you're getting them in and out. So you get very, very, what is the word I'm looking for? Proficient with dealing with customers. And if you're shy, I guarantee you that your shyness will be gone within the first weekend of working in a busy place like that.
Or you'll be gone, one of the two.
Or you'll get eaten alive. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because quite honestly, I never realized it until later that probably the best sales experience I had was working the ticket line at Harris.
Yep.
Because even though you're not trying to get them to spend their money, you're trying to convince a kid who has 5 tickets that he can only get 5 Army men, and that's it. And then you have to try to convince the kid with 2,000 tickets not to get 2,000 Army men.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a really good point. While keeping the parents happy. Yep. Yeah.
And considering I still work with parents to this day, the parents of kids are much more difficult to deal with than kids.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Every single time. But that's salesmanship. If you can move a line on Thanksgiving of kids through your ticket line, for those of you who are not familiar, we worked in an arcade, kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese thing, except for not quite so cheesy. No robo band to play for us. We just had to listen to Spice Girls Wannabe 3,000 times in a row. No big. But you'd sit there and you have to convince the kids and sit there and sell them and get them to select their item and get moving, because you have a line through the door and a whole bunch of impatient kids and even more impatient parents behind them trying to get through. So that was a great learning experience.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties into bootstrapping, what we're talking about with business and, my little offering of finding your value. All these little things that you experience growing up, these little jobs you have, you might not realize the foundation you're building. Sometimes it takes years later to go, oh, that's why I'm good at that. It's because I had that little summer job. I delivered papers one day. I think that was my first official job, actually. Come to think of it, was I had a paper route when I was like 10 or something like that. That's where I first learned customer service and, a good work ethic to deliver the papers on time, not miss anything else, work through things. Little things like that will always build up to who you are today and what you can offer as a business. So you pulled me in. There was something about some sports guy too, wasn't there? That was helped get you an idea to do this.
Shoot, I can't remember off the top of my head. I've just been grinding lately. What are you thinking? What did I?
There was some sports guy you were helping with his marketing, advertising a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I helped out a few people. You mean before I actually started my this Atheoz? So yeah, actually, I guess I was a manager, an athletic sports manager too, and that was kind of out like randomly where I saw it was an athlete, and I can't say his name because he, just because of whatever, Anyways, so he was reaching out on Twitter, and he's like, or Instagram, or one of them, I can't remember. He's like, hey, I'm looking for a sports manager. I'm willing to. I need help. My last sports managers was blah blah blah, right? They weren't great, and they didn't. So I wrote this long thing back to him. Who knows they ever look at their DMs? But I was like in the mood, and I was like, hey, dude, just do this. You don't need a sports manager. Just do X, Y, Z. And that's pretty simple. And then you'll get sponsorships, your own sponsorships. You don't have to share any money. And then he replies with send me your email. I'm like, oh, okay. And then he actually sends me a contract to be a sports manager. I'm like, what the heck is this? He's like, dude, that's why I need somebody like you. So I did that for a while until we had an agreement, and he actually retired from sports. But yeah, I worked with him, and I made him I made both of us a decent amount of money doing that. And I was like, I guess I have a knack for this kind of stuff, and whatever angle or area it may be that I have with my diverse experience as a professional and my my education, I feel like I was like, oh, I think I could jump into almost any business and promote it, or at least teach them how to bring in customers and bring a customer base. And that was I had zero experience being a sports trainer, but right off the bat from my experience and working, owning businesses and even grinding through like you said in the customer service industry, all that combined, I was like, you do X, Y, and Z, bop bop bop, and he's like, oh, hey, please help me. And it worked out, and I was like, oh, I guess maybe I could do this as a business, start my own marketing thing. So that's where that's how that's one of the things that got me started there. So
and that comes right back to principles. Like you were saying, there's certain principles about business that are just across the board.
Yeah.
The principles are the same. The application may be different, but when you get down to the core principles of what makes a business, or a person for that matter, successful, they're all the same principles.
Yep.
You might apply them differently, but take, for example, if you open a restaurant, you still need to have good marketing. You still need to make sure you stand out, and you need to still provide value for your customers so that they come.
Yeah.
If you're a video game developer, you need to do marketing. You need to provide value for the customer, and you need to stand out so they come to you.
Yep.
Completely different fields. Completely different, but the principles are the same.
Yep.
And how you do that is a little bit different each way. You might not need to design a top special plate for your business, for your video game design, of course, but you might design a memorable character instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Anyway, so let's wrap this up. One more thing.
Yeah.
About grinding. I think that's one thing that both of us have been doing ever since we were kids. I mean, the second I was old enough and legally allowed to go get a job, I got a job.
Okay.
And then we have you, who was completely insane. How long was the drive down to, where'd you go to school again?
Okay, so I was, so I'll start with a little backstory. So I was not one of the fortunate people in the United States to have their parents have a lot of money saved up for school. As a matter of fact, there was 3 of us, and my parents had me very young, so I had $0 to go to school. And on top of that, nobody in my family ever went to university before. Anyways, so it just it was one day while I was grinding in the arcade. It was like I was getting screamed at by somebody, and I said, "I'm over this. I need to do something." So I decided to concentrate on my education, my formal education. Anyways, so at the time, community college was so cheap that I was able to work full time and pay for my school in full. That's how cheap community college was in California. Thank goodness for that. But I did really, really well. I pretty much got straight A's across the board. I did so well that when I actually applied to university, they offered me a full ride. So my school was completely paid for my university at UC Davis, University of California, Davis. Good luck trying to get into that school nowadays. You need like a 4.83 thousand to even get in. But anyways, so they, I put out applications to a bunch of schools, and I couldn't believe, like, they said, yes, come to UC Davis. It would never in my wildest dreams that an actual UC school. If people don't know, UC on the California side is like the Ivy League of the East Coast. So it's very elite and very hard to get in, especially some universities. Anyways, so I got in, and they said, we'll pay for your schooling. And then I was like, okay, well, my job is 3 hours away. I live 3 hours away, and I have school over here. I can't afford either or, right? So what I can afford is living actually in Carson City at the time with my parents, because I had to live in Carson City. But I could afford splitting rent down in Davis, right? With my job, if I worked 30 plus hours in Tahoe. So what I would do is I had my schedule set at UC Davis. I'd be at school Monday through Thursday, right? So Monday morning, I had classes all the way up to Thursday night. And Thursday night, after my classes, was it Thursday night? I'm trying to remember. Was it either Thursday or Friday? No, it was Friday? Thursday or Friday? Oh, it was Friday. Friday afternoon, I would get in my car and drive up to my shift at Harrah's, Lake Tahoe, which is 3 hours away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Work for 10.
3 10s.
Yeah, 3 10s, sometimes a little more. So I'd work Friday, Saturday, and then I'd come in early Sunday and work 10 hours, and then leave Sunday night. I would drive back down to Davis, to my place, and get like, I don't know how much sleep, not a lot, and then go and, have my classes start Monday morning and do it again. And my thought behind that was, hey, if they're paying for my tuition, I don't know how long they're going to give it to me if I could maintain my GPA, or if they're going to take it away from me. So I said, I have 100%. I have a 1-year guarantee on my on my tuition. So I know I have that tuition. No matter how many classes I take, they'll pay for it. So I actually took so many classes that I finished my upper division university work in 1 year, which usually nowadays takes people, if you're planned and doing it right, and studying, it takes you 2 years, but nowadays it takes people up 3 to 4 years to finish your upper division work. So I kind of like, if you want to talk about grinding, that's what I did. So I worked full time, 30 plus hours, and I took double the amount of courses at UC Davis to finish in a year. So, and I almost died, but I did it.
Yeah, like I said, you're insane.
Yeah.
But then again, another thing about working 3/10s, 30 hours at least, you kept all your benefits from the casino. Because if you drop below 30, they would cut off your
That's
benefits.
correct. Yep.
So, and didn't you meet and marry and bring your wife over from South Korea at the same time?
No. We actually met before. Actually, yes. I take that back. Well, I didn't meet her. We met before this whole thing. So
You met before, but you actually
during this whole process, yes, we
got
did.
married.
Yeah, we got married.
Engaged.
Yeah, brought her over.
And considering the reason I'm in Norway is because I married a Norwegian.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's just something wrong with Tahoe girls. I don't know. Or maybe just us. I don't know. Anyway, but my wife's from Norway, which is why I'm here, and just bringing her over, that's a pain in the butt process too. That takes hours and hours and hours of your time.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of work. Yep.
Yeah. So and this is kind of where we're from, and kind of where we start. And just for you bootstrappers out there, this is the type of thing that you need. This is the most important thing. We both came from the two wealthiest families in Tahoe, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Nobody. I mean, there's a very few. All joking aside, even the wealthy people at Tahoe when we were growing up, they weren't wealthy. They were paying a lot for their housing. Maybe sure their parents had a little more professional jobs, but they were paying a lot more for their mortgage. So nobody in Tahoe had a lot of money except for the people, who are the elites that had big properties up there. So.
Yeah, like the Mayoff land,
Yeah. There's
half the casino, half the properties. There was like 2 or 3 barons, as it were.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, Tahoe, people in Tahoe, the cost of living there is so insanely high.
Yeah, it's gotten out of control now. It's you can't even raise a family over there. Yeah.
I think you can't. I think you can't even start at a entry level house at less than $1 million or something like that.
Yeah,
it's gotten crazy.
Yeah.
But even when we were growing up, neither of us came from background of a rich family. My dad was barely working his own job, busting his butt so my mom could stay home and homeschool us.
Yeah.
We ate a lot of casserole growing up.
Yep.
We didn't have a lot of stuff. I had to save up extra just to buy a Super Soaker when it came out. I remember they were so expensive, comparatively speaking. It was a big, exciting thing just to get a Super Soaker. We didn't come from rich families.
Yeah.
And we started businesses, and we're bootstrappers because you don't start off rich, but you can fight your way up there and claw your way to the top.
Yep. And
that's kind of where we are for you guys listening in, which is we want to help you guys start up and get out from the situation you're in, and it might take some process. It might just start off as a side hustle. Some of the biggest businesses start off as a little side hustle that just grew and grew and grew, and all of a sudden, this is doing good. I'll just switch.
Yeah.
I'll do this full time instead. So little small side things, little things. What was it? Harley started with a couple of guys in their garage building a motorcycle in their spare time. That was kind of their little hobby, and they built it up. And of course, Harley's a massive business today. And it's gone through some highs and lows and whatnot, but still, the whole name, everyone knows what a Harley is.
Yeah.
Side hustle in a garage. Build one motorcycle, sell one motorcycle. Build one motorcycle, sell one motorcycle. That was it.
Yeah.
Side business. You're just with the extra drive to do it.
Yep.
Anyway, Jason, thank you for your time. I do have to run.
Okay.
I got a message from my wife here. So,
Alrighty. Okay.
We'll wrap it up, And everyone out there, thank you for your time. This has been the combination of the Atheoz Business Podcast and the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast. Do listen to both, and hopefully we can help you grow your business even through the podcast. You have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye.
Remember to get your free half-hour consultation by using our contact page and the links below. If you found value in this content, please give us a 5-star rating on whichever podcast platform you use. It is very helpful if you share this with your friends. If you'd like to directly support this podcast, I have a few donation links in the description, or you can check out the show sponsors. You have been listening to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, which is an Atheoz Business Solutions podcast. Our companion podcast, the Atheoz Business Podcast, which is hosted by Jason St.Clair. Our past episodes and related blogs, you can check out our website at www.atheoz.com, which is www.atheoz.com or atheoz.com. Remember, you can also check us out on the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast Facebook group, where you can interact with me and other people who are bootstrappers and entrepreneurs. The link is in the description. Come check us out. I would love to interact with you. And until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor. See you later.